There are mornings when you open your eyes and immediately sense a heaviness pressing down on you, even though nothing has happened yet. No conversations, no notifications, no movement beyond your bed. Yet the burden is already there. If you identify as an empath, this sensation is familiar territory. You absorb everything around you, the emotional climate of your surroundings, the unspoken tensions in others, their concealed pain and suppressed frustration, even when silence fills the space between you. You navigate through existence like a receiver, constantly tuned into frequencies that aren't your own, gradually losing touch with your authentic signal. Our modern world glorifies relentless stimulation, endless notifications, aggressive opinions, unhealed wounds, and perpetual motion. When ye actual think and spoutive deeply feeling and emotionally perceptive, society often makes you question whether something is fundamentally wrong with you. Then guilt arrives uninvited. Guilt for craving solitude, for declining invitations, for establishing limits, for distancing yourself from harmful relationships, particularly when they involve family members. Guilt that whispers you might be the actual problem. But consider this alternative perspective. Perhaps the genuine issue lies in a cultural framework that conditions you to feel ashamed for safeguarding your inner peace. Carl Jung offered insight that can fundamentally transform your understanding. Becoming your authentic self represents life's greatest privilege. Yet empaths typically spend years molding themselves into what others demand, perpetual fixers, emotional healers, devoted listeners, absorbers of everyone's pain, frequently for individuals who never reciprocate with genuine concern. These patterns persist because we've been conditioned to believe that departure equals rudeness or selfishness. We absorb the message that honoring your parents means enduring emotional harm, that family bonds are eternal obligations regardless of the psychological cost. This belief structure is obsolete, rooted in survival mechanisms, and it perpetuates cycles of exhaustion and spiritual disorientation. Here is an uncomfortable truth many refuse to acknowledge. Nobody, not your closest friend, not your employer, not your parent, possesses the entitlement to deplete your vital energy. Affection without mutual respect isn't genuine love, and connections lacking reciprocity aren't spiritually meaningful. They're energetic prisons. Within Jungian psychology, individuation describes the journey toward discovering your genuine identity beyond societal masks. For empaths specifically, this journey demands one essential practice: learning detachment. Detachment from prescribed roles, from guilt, from shame, from the notion that being virtuous requires self-abandonment. Your purpose isn't carrying the unprocessed emotional baggage of others. Your purpose centers on transformation. But transformation becomes impossible when your energetic field remains entangled with other people's darkness, when exhaustion becomes your baseline, when self-doubt dominates your thoughts, when motivation feels perpetually out of reach. This isn't laziness. This is energetic congestion. If you appreciate content that challenges conventional thinking and explores consciousness at deeper levels, subscribe to Fractal Wisdom to ensure you receive future insights. Continue watching, because we're exploring how detachment, shadow integration, and strategic self-prioritization can unlock your authentic purpose. Let's address something rarely discussed with empaths. Excessive goodness can become self-destructive where programmed, particularly those who are sensitive, intuitive, or emotionally intelligent, to equate goodness with self-sacrifice, to measure our strength by how much suffering we can absorb, how long we can remain in unfulfilling relationships, how much we can endure before finally collapsing. Carl Jung understood clearly that denying our instincts allows our shadow to dominate. The shadow encompasses everything we suppress: our anger, our grief, our impulse to remove ourselves from people who exploit our kindness. When ignored, these aspects don't disappear or transcend, they manifest unconsciously. This explains why numerous empaths eventually erupt after years of accommodating behavior. They experience burnout, emotional breakdowns, or spiraling patterns, not from weakness, but because nobody taught them that their needs hold equal importance. So let's state this unambiguously. You possess the absolute right to walk away from the friend who only reaches out during personal crises, from family members who ridicule your sensitivity, from the partner who manipulates you into constant emotional labor. This isn't selfishness, it is sacred self-preservation. Healthy detachment represents the most profound act of self-love an empath can practice. Carl Jung emphasized individuation, the continuous process of becoming your authentic self, as the singular path to inner peace. But individuation cannot occur within people-pleasing patterns. It cannot develop when guilt consumes you because someone declared that severing family ties is heartless. Not everyone belongs in your healing journey. Certain people were instruments of your wounding. Some relationships are temporary contracts designed to dissolve once their lessons complete. Guilt is merely a low vibration emotion programmed into you to maintain compliance. It is not morality, it is psychological manipulation. Shame operates identically. These are energetic contaminants. You don't need to process them endlessly. You need to release them completely. Here is something even more liberating. You're permitted to care less, not about your life purpose or aspirations, but about others' judgments, about who misinterprets your boundaries, about disappointing those who benefited from your lack of limits. Jung stated that shame consumes the soul, and his observation was accurate. It devours your motivation, extinguishes your passion, and transforms drive into paralysis. The solution, it is radical, powerful, and effective. You begin prioritizing your energy over your reputation. You cease explaining yourself. You stop rescuing people who resist growth. You abandon the belief that your value depends on endless availability. Then something remarkable occurs. Motivation resurfaces naturally, not forced or manufactured, but organic, because suddenly space exists, space for your authentic voice, your vision, your actual calling. Now that we've extracted guilt from its roots, what replaces it? One concept: clarity. Clarity serves as the antidote to empathic overwhelm. But clarity doesn't emerge from increased activity. It develops through energetic boundaries. What I term energy hygiene, consider it spiritual maintenance. Because here is the unspoken reality. Empaths don't require more motivation. They need less interference. While Carl Jung may not have used the phrase energy hygiene, he profoundly understood psychic boundaries. He recognized that our unconscious constantly communicates through archetypes, symbols, and energetic impressions. As an empath, you inhabit that realm, but without deliberate boundaries, you absorb what doesn't belong to you. Others' anxieties, collective fear, the emotional residue of toxic former relationships, still lingering in your field months afterward. This isn't metaphorical, it is energetic reality. Here is crucial knowledge. Not all energy deserves access. Some energy is adhesive, parasitic, manipulative, and intentionally distracting, especially from individuals who've avoided their inner work. If you're sensitive, open-hearted, and spiritually aware but unprotected. You become the ideal target. That is why clearing your space isn't optional. It is essential. Conduct an inventory. Does your phone function as a portal for anxiety? Are your messages a receptacle for others' problems? Does your living space contain items from someone who harmed you that you never discarded? Do you share your bed with someone who secretly resents your radiance? Every interaction, every environment holds frequency. And frequency either elevates you or traps you in loops. Jung taught that the unconscious is vast, but you must explore it with awareness. Empaths do this unconsciously constantly. They feel profoundly but often forget to question, is this actually mine? Here is a practical beginning. Destroy the letter, block the contact. Cleanse your space with intentional sound and purpose. Meditate with no agenda except releasing what doesn't belong. Adopt this principle. If it drains me, it doesn't deserve access to me. Now, the most radical practice. Begin declining requests without justification. Even to your mother, especially to the one who weaponizes guilt, with phrases like, "After everything I've done for you." Empaths are frequently conditioned to conflate love with suffering. That programming must end. Because if your light is authentic, and it absolutely is, then you're here to create, build, heal, innovate, contribute. That requires energy, focus, and unapologetic detachment. This isn't cruelty, it is clarity. Protecting your mission isn't mean-spirited. You're simply no longer volunteering as someone's emotional disposal system. Don't attempt to fix everyone. Fix your frequency. The aligned people will appear when you're no longer operating in survival mode from others' chaos. You were never designed to diminish yourself, but conditioning made you believe that kindness meant silence, that empathy meant constant availability, that spirituality meant self-sacrifice. That was programming, systematic conditioning designed to keep you useful but not powerful, because a powerful empath is rare, threatening to establish systems, and that is precisely what you're becoming. Carl Jung's individuation concept wasn't about conformity. It was about integration, confronting your shadow, claiming your wholeness, becoming fully yourself rather than what the world demanded. This process is uncomfortable, isolating, even disruptive to your former identity. That is why your path to motivation isn't hustle, it is healing. And the most significant healing involves permission to be selfish, not in narcissistic disregard for others, but in soul-rooted self-selection. The approach that honors your boundaries, values your time, declares that your needs matter equally. When you stop over-functioning, you reconnect with your authentic voice. You begin remembering your mission, your creative expression, your path, your essence. That is motivation's true source, not force, not deadlines, not guilt, but alignment. You achieve clarity, stillness, authenticity. Suddenly you stop hemorrhaging energy into others' wounds. You stop justifying your healing. You stop apologizing for your brilliance because you realize something profound. Nobody has the right to diminish you, not even those claiming to love you, especially not them if that love arrives with control, guilt, or obligation. It is acceptable to leave situations where your soul isn't nourished. It is acceptable to desire a life that feels clean, light, intentional. It is acceptable to guard your space as sacred territory because here is the unexpected twist. Most people never anticipate. When you finally become selfish enough to heal, the right people discover you. People who don't require fixing, people walking their own paths, people who love you in your power, not your pain. Don't dilute yourself for palatability. Allow your complete self to be visible. Let your focus return by detoxing from what was never yours. Let your energy communicate more powerfully than words, because your mission as an empath isn't saving everyone. Your mission is maintaining clarity, sovereignty, and becoming the lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands tall, steady, powerful. Some ships find their way, others crash. That is not your responsibility. Yours is to shine. If this message resonated as medicine for your soul, don't keep it private. Subscribe so you never miss moments like this, and comment below. Share what you're releasing and what you're moving toward. This isn't merely a channel, it is a sanctuary for deep feelers who are finally choosing themselves.